welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a crucial topic: how to identify if someone is actually not a good person, even if they seem nice on the surface. We've all been there, charmed by someone who later reveals their true colors. You know, the type who can charm the pants off you while they're stabbing you in the back. It's like they took a course on how to fool people, and they graduated with honors. But how do you spot these folks before you get burned? Well, I'm going to break it down for you. We're going to talk about the 8 telltale signs that someone might not be as genuine as they appear. Stick with me, and you'll be able to sniff out these bad apples from a mile away.
Now let's talk about the first big red flag, the victim card. You know the type. Always got a reason why something's not their fault. Their boss is out to get them, their friends don't understand them, the world's always against them. And you know what? Sometimes bad things do happen to good people, but, and this is a big but, if someone is constantly playing the victim, it's time to take a step back. Think about it. Do they take responsibility for their actions, or do they always find someone else to blame? Do they ever acknowledge their own role in a situation, or is it always someone else's fault? These are important questions to ask yourself, because here's the thing. Chronically playing the victim is a form of manipulation. They're trying to get your sympathy, your attention, your support, and they're doing it by painting themselves as helpless and blameless, even when that's not the whole story. Don't get me wrong, we all need a shoulder to cry on sometimes, but there's a difference between needing support and constantly seeking attention and validation through manufactured hardship. You know the saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Well, it applies here. Don't let someone keep playing you like a fiddle with the same old song and dance. Let's talk about another major red flag, dismissing your feelings. You know that feeling when you try to open up to someone about something important and they just brush it off like your emotions are an inconvenience to them. Yeah, that's a big problem. A person who genuinely cares about you will listen to your feelings, validate them, and try to understand where you're coming from. They might not always agree with you, and that's okay, but they'll at least acknowledge that your feelings are real and valid. They won't make you feel silly or stupid for having those feelings. Now, someone who consistently dismisses your feelings, who makes you feel like you're overreacting or being too sensitive, that's a sign of disrespect. It's a sign that they don't value your emotional well-being. And frankly, you deserve better than that. You deserve to be with someone who hears you, who sees you, who understands you. Don't settle for anything less. Remember, your feelings are valid, even if someone else doesn't understand them. And if someone consistently makes you feel bad for having those feelings, it might be time to reevaluate that relationship. Let's talk manipulation. Manipulators are sneaky. They're like puppet masters, pulling strings to get what they want, often at your expense. They're experts at twisting situations, making you doubt yourself and getting you to do things you wouldn't normally do. Now, manipulation can be subtle. It's not always as obvious as someone explicitly threatening you or making demands. Sometimes it's disguised as concern or even affection. They might guilt-trip you, play the victim, or make you feel responsible for their happiness. And before you know it, you're caught in their web, feeling trapped and confused. So how do you spot a manipulator? Well, pay attention to how they make you feel. Do you often feel pressured or obligated to do things you don't want to do? Do you feel like you're always walking on eggshells around them, afraid of saying or doing the wrong thing? Do they constantly try to control your decisions or influence your opinions? If any of this sounds familiar, there's a good chance you're dealing with a manipulator. Chapter 4. Always right. You ever notice how some people just can't admit when they're wrong? They're always right, even when they're dead wrong. It's like their ego is writing checks their brain can't cash. These folks, they're allergic to the truth. Facts, evidence, logic, they don't want to hear it. They've got an opinion, and that's the only one that matters. Now, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but there's a difference between having an opinion and being close-minded. Someone who's always right, they're not interested in a dialogue, they're interested in a monologue. They're not interested in learning from others, they're interested in lecturing others. And that, my friends, is a recipe for disaster in any relationship. Think about it. How can you have a healthy, productive relationship with someone who refuses to acknowledge your perspective? Someone who always has to have the last word? The answer is, you can't. Chapter 5, No Empathy. Let's talk about empathy, or rather the lack thereof. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes and seeing the world from their perspective. Now, some folks, they're just plain lacking in the empathy department. They can't or won't understand what it's like to walk in your shoes, your struggles, your joys, your fears. They're all just background noise to them. They're so wrapped up in their own world, their own problems, that they can't even begin to comprehend what you're going through. Now, a lack of empathy is a dangerous thing. It's the breeding ground for selfishness, indifference, and even cruelty. When you don't have empathy, it's easy to dismiss the feelings of others. It's easy to justify hurting others because you don't fully grasp the impact of your actions. So how can you tell if someone lacks empathy? Well, pay attention to how they react to your emotions. Chapter 6. Gossip mongers. Let's talk about gossip. You know that toxic little game people play where they talk about everyone behind their backs? Yeah, it's not a good look. Gossiping is like spreading a virus. It's harmful, it's contagious, and it can do a lot of damage. Now, I'm not talking about harmless chit-chat here. I'm talking about the kind of gossip that's meant to tear people down, spread rumors, and create drama. The kind of gossip that's fueled by envy, jealousy, and insecurity. People who gossip, they're not your friends. They're emotional vampires, sucking the positivity out of your life and replacing it with negativity and drama. They'll talk about you behind your back just as quickly as they'll talk about someone else. So, how do you deal with gossipers? Simple, you don't. You distance yourself from them. Chapter 7. The Transactional Friend. Let's talk about those people who are only nice when they need something. You know the type? They disappear faster than a plate of cookies at a buffet when you need help, but they're the first ones knocking on your door when they need a favor. These folks, they're not interested in genuine connection or mutual support. They're all about what they can get out of you. They're like emotional ATMs. They only show up when they need a withdrawal. Now, true friendship, true relationships, they're built on reciprocity. It's about giving and taking, supporting each other through thick and thin. But these transactional friends, they're not interested in any of that. They're takers, plain and simple. They'll shower you with compliments and favors when they need something, but the minute you need something in return, they're nowhere to be found. So how do you spot these fair weather friends? It's simple. Pay attention to their patterns of behavior. Chapter 8. Boundary breakers. Let's talk about boundaries. You know, those invisible lines we draw to protect our physical, emotional, and mental space? Yeah, they're kind of a big deal. Boundaries are essential for healthy relationships. They help us establish respect, trust, and autonomy. But some people, they're like bulls in a china shop when it comes to boundaries. They trample all over them, oblivious to the damage they're causing. These boundary breakers, they come in all shapes and sizes. They might be overly demanding of your time and attention. They might disregard your need for privacy. They might pressure you to do things you're not comfortable with. Now, it's important to remember that we teach people how to treat us. If you don't set clear boundaries, people will keep pushing the limits until you're left feeling resentful, exhausted, and taken advantage of. So, how do you set boundaries? It starts with communication. Outro, trust your gut. So there you have it. 8 signs that someone might not be as nice as they seem. Remember, it's not about being cynical or distrusting of everyone you meet. It's about being discerning, about paying attention to those red flags and trusting your gut instinct. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore those gut feelings. They're there to protect you. Surround yourself with people who are genuine, who lift you up, and who make you feel good about yourself. Life's too short for anything less. If you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Thanks for watching.